Hello everyone, this is Asra Sultana, Assistant Professor in EEE Department, working in ISL Engineering College. So I am taking the subject Electrical Machine 2 for EEE third year students. So we are going to continue with the topic alternators or synchronous generator. So let us see the classification of AC machines. AC machines are classified as synchronous machines and asynchronous machines. So asynchronous machines are also called as induction machines. Again they are classified as induction generator and induction motor. Let us first see the classification of synchronous machines. So synchronous machines are classified as synchronous generator and synchronous motor. So what is a synchronous generator? It is a machine which will give the electrical energy as output and takes the mechanical energy as input. And this synchronous generator and motor will run at a speed called as synchronous speed. Okay. Now what is a synchronous motor? Synchronous motor convert electrical energy into mechanical energy, and this can be used as motors as well as power factor compensators, or you can call it as a synchronous condenser. Let us see the classification of asynchronous machines. They are classified as induction generator and induction motor. So due to lack of separate field excitation, these machines will be rarely used. That is, induction generator is rarely used. Let us see the induction motor. So induction motor is a widely used electrical motor in which both domestic and industrial applications are found. So in the unit 3 of electrical machines 2, already we have seen this in previous classes. So we will do a quick revision of what we have studied in the third unit. Okay. So types of synchronous machines we have seen. So they can be classified as stationary armature rotating field or stationary field and rotating armature. So a stationary armature and rotating field will be used for above 5 kVA and stationary field rotating armature will be used for below kVA rating. Okay. So advantages of stationary armature and rotating field. Whereas in DC generator we have seen that armature was rotating and field was stationary. Now in case of alternators it is opposite. Okay. In case of alternators the armature is stationary and field is rotating. So let us see what are the advantages of this type of alternator. Okay. So first one is high voltage AC winding and its insulation is not subjected to centrifugal forces. That is, it will give us a better insulation. And next is easier to collect large currents from stationary member. So with the help of this stationary armature, the collection of current will be easier. Rotating field makes overall construction simple. Okay, as our field is rotating, construction will become simpler. And problem of sparking at the slip rings will be avoided. Ventilation arrangement per HP can be improved. LV-DC excitation easily supplied through slip rings and brushes to the rotor field winding. And with the help of this stationary armature rotating field construction, a noiseless running is possible. Air gap length will be uniform and it will give a better mechanical balancing of rotor. Let us see the construction of alternator which is having a stationary armature and rotating field. So there are two main parts of a alternator, stator and a rotor. Stator is a stationary part of the machine. It is built up of sheet steel lamination cores having slots inside it. Because it is slotted, the stator is slotted to hold the armature conductors, and armature winding can be connected in star or delta. Okay, this is the stator here having laminated iron core with slots, and coils will be placed inside the slots, and coil and windings will be bent to form the armature winding. This is the stationary armature winding diagram I am showing here. So okay, next part is rotor. Okay, so there are two types of rotor, that is salient pole and non-salient pole type of rotor. Non-salient pole is also called as smooth cylindrical type rotor. So salient pole type, it is also called as projected pole, and the poles will be mounted on the larger circular frame, and it is made up of thick steel laminations. In salient pole type, the field winding wheel is connected in series. Ends of the field windings will be connected to DC supply through slip rings. So it will be having a large diameter and short axial length. Poles will be laminated to reduce eddy current losses, and this type of rotor is employed for low and medium speed, that is 120 rpm to 500 rpm, which can be used in diesel and hydraulic turbines, but this type of rotor cannot be used for large speed. So the salient pole machines will be provided with a damper winding on the rotor to damp rotor oscillation during transient conditions, and it will facilitate operation under balanced load conditions. Damper windings will be consisting of copper bars which are laid in slots on the faces of the pole pieces and connected to each other at the ends by means of short circuiting segments. So under normal operating conditions, damper windings will not carry any current because the rotor will run at synchronous speed. So damper winding also will have to maintain balanced three-phase voltage under unbalanced load conditions. So damper winding is useful in preventing hunting. Okay, hunting we have seen in the previous classes. Okay. Now let us see the non-salient pole type or smooth cylindrical type of rotor. See this type of rotor is also called as turbo alternator. The alternator employing non-salient pole type of rotor is called as turbo alternator. So this will be used in high speed alternators which is driven by steam turbines. Steam turbine is nothing but a prime mover which is used to give the mechanical energy to the alternator. So it is a small, it will have a smaller diameter and larger axial length compared to salient pole machine of the same rating, and it will have less windage losses, and speed will be 1200 rpm to 3000 rpm, and the operation is noiseless. Flux distribution is nearly sine wave. Frequency will be 50 Hz. So when we see the salient pole versus non-salient pole, salient pole will have a larger diameter and short axial length, and whereas non-salient will have a smaller diameter and long axial length. Pole shoes will cover 2/3 of pole pitch in salient pole, and poles are laminated in order to reduce eddy current losses, and salient pole are employed with hydraulic turbines or diesel engines. Speed is 100 to 375 rpm. So this will have, non-salient will have robust construction and less windage losses, better in dynamic balancing and high operating speed, that is 3000 rpm. Let us see the EMF equation of alternator. If I is the flux per pole in Webers, P is number of poles, Ns is the synchronous speed in rpm, Z is the total number of conductors, Z is equal to 2T, 2 is nothing but number of turns. Okay, so Z will be equal to 2T, T is equal to number of coils or turns per phase, and T phase is turns in series per phase and Z phase is conductor per phase. So number of phases are 3, that is why Z phase will be equal to Z by 3. Kc or Kp is pitch factor or coil span factor, in Kd is distribution factor. Kp is cos alpha by 2, Kd is sin m beta by 2 by m sin beta by 2. So let us consider a single conductor placed in a slot. Average EMF induced in a conductor will be equal to flux cut in 1 revolution per time taken for 1 revolution. Average EMF induced in conductor is what? d phi by dt according to Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Okay, EMF will be equal to rate of change of flux. Okay, so E is equal to d phi by dt. So d phi equal to phi p, that is total flux cut in 1 revolution is given by d phi, that is phi p, and time taken to complete 1 revolution is 60 by ns seconds. Okay, So d phi by dt I can write here as 5p divided by 60 by n, that is 5p ns by 60, or ns is equal to 120 f by p. We know this equation, that is synchronous speed is given by 120 f by p. F is frequency, p is number of poles. So substitute here value of ns as 120 f by p. So what we are going to get, d phi by dt as 5p 120 f by 60 p, that is 2f 5 volts. If there are z conductors connected per phase, then average EMF per phase is 2f 5z. So z is equal to 2t we know. So substitute the value of z equal to 2t in the above equation here. So we are going to get average EMF per phase as 2f 2t, that is 4f 5t. So this is average value. I want RMS value. So RMS will be equal to 1.11 times average value, that is 1.11 into 4f 5t. RMS value of EMF per phase is 4.44 f 5t volts. Okay. So here I have written the formula. Form factor is RMS by average. RMS equal to average value into form factor. That is form factor for sinusoidal waveform is 1.11. So RMS will be equal to what? 1.11 into average value. So this equation will be true only if the winding is concentrated in one slot. If the winding for each phase under each slot is distributed, then we have to consider Kp and Kd also. Okay, if concentrated winding is there, then we can use this equation, or if distributed winding is there, we have to consider Kp and Kd also. So actual available voltage per phase is 4.44 f5t Kp Kd. Star connected line voltage, that is for star connection line voltage is √3 times phase voltage. Okay. Now let us see the armature winding, various types of armature winding, how they are classified. Three-phase alternator will carry three set of winding arranged in slots, open circuited, and these windings can be connected either in star or delta. The classification of armature winding is, it can be classified as single layer and double layer, full pitch, short pitch, concentrated, distributed. Single layer winding will have one coil side and which will occupy the total slot area, and this can be used only in small AC machines. Double layer winding, coil sides will be two layers and it is more commonly used above 5 kilowatt machines. So advantages of double layer winding over single layer winding is that easier to manufacture and lower cost of coils. Fractional slot winding can be used. Corded winding is possible. Lower leakage reactance and better performance of the machine is possible, and better EMF waveform in case of generators. These diagrams are showing one coil side per slot and two coil sides per slot, top layer, and this is bottom layer. So few definitions we have seen: pole pitch, what is pole pitch, what is coil, what is slot pitch, what is coil span. Okay, these are the definitions of pole pitch. Pole pitch is nothing but, see here in this diagram you can see, distance between centers of pole faces of two adjacent poles is called as pole pitch, and it is equal to what? Total number of slots in armature divided by number of poles. Or pole pitch is equal to 180 degrees phase angle. What is a coil? Coil is nothing but consists of two coil sides and which are placed in two separate slots. Slot pitch, it is the phase angle between two adjacent slots. Coil span or coil pitch is nothing but distance between two coil sides of a coil. Let us see full pitch and short pitch winding. Full pitch winding is in full pitch winding, coil span is equal to pole pitch, then the winding is full pitch winding. If the coil span is less than pole pitch, then it is short pitch winding. So advantages of short corded winding or corded pitch winding. So copper will be saved here, mechanical strength of coil is increased, and EMF induced is also improved. Let us see what is slot angle. Slot angle is nothing but angular displacement between any two adjacent poles in electrical degrees. Slot angle beta equal to 180 by number of slots per pole. Let us see the definition: pitch factor or coil span factor or short corded factor, Kp or Kc. Kp is given a pitch factor, that is Kp is given by EMF induced in short pitch winding by EMF induced in full pitch winding, or vector sum of induced EMF per coil divided by arithmetic sum of induced EMF per coil. Kp we have found it as, from this phasor diagram if you see, it is cos alpha by 2. Now let us see Kd, distribution factor, that is, it is given by EMF induced in distributed winding divided by EMF induced in concentrated winding, and it is vector sum of EMF per coil divided by arithmetic sum of EMF per coil. So Kd value we got it as sin m beta by 2 by m sin beta by 2. So there is a term called as armature reaction. So we are done with the EMF equation of alternator. Now we are going to another term of armature reaction. What is armature reaction? Effect of armature flux on main field flux is called as armature reaction. So armature reaction effect will depend on the power factor of the load. For unity power factor it is cross magnetizing, for lagging power factor it is demagnetizing, and for leading power factor it is magnetizing. So this is a pure resistive load. So this is this violet line, it is violet color is main flux phi f, and armature flux phi a is given by dotted line, that is pink color line. So in this we can see the effect of, there is the effect of armature flux on main flux. So because of that the effect is cross magnetizing effect. Okay. Then lagging power factor. Lagging power factor load or purely inductive load, this is entirely opposite to each other, that is main flux is in positive, then armature flux is in negative direction, you can see here. So it is demagnetizing in nature. And for a purely capacitive load it is magnetizing, because it is just below the main flux, the armature flux is just below the main flux, so it is magnetizing in case of purely capacitive load. Okay, thank you students, thanks for watching the video. So next class we are going to discuss about the voltage regulation and regarding the synchronous impedance and okay, thank you students.